30, 35 down the sidelines to the 40, makes a move to the 45, the 50, he's to the 40, he could go, he's at the 25, the 20, they dive at him, they miss him, he's in the end zone, touchdown!
Throws off his back foot, wide open man in the end zone, leaping grab, touchdown!
Launches the throw down toward the goal line, going up, ball tipped in the air, caught, touchdown!
Reverses his field, got a block from Pittman, going deep, got a man in the end zone, touchdown!
It's a man's game tonight now, you know that. Everybody watching tonight.
And now it's the Undefined Blitz with Chad and JC.
And welcome everybody once again to the Undefined Blitz right here on UndefinedRadio.com. It is week 0. The foosball is getting set for real, getting the stuff done. It's that time of the year. I enjoy it so much. We have had 2 back-to-back weeks of high school football where North Delta Green Waves play right here on Undefined Radio every Friday night. You can catch them. 6:30 is pregame. Kickoff usually starts around 7 o'clock. North Delta Green Wave are 2-0 to start the season with a quarterback who hasn't played football since the 6th grade. Installed a new offense, coached up right nice, and here we go. Already a much better season than the last 2 seasons. So go Green Wave, support your Green Wave every Friday night right here on Undefined Radio. JC, how's it going, man? We got a lot of stuff to talk about, dude.
Well, it's going great. We actually had real football that mattered. Week 0 has come and gone in college football. We are now officially into week 1 of the college football season. Of course, the NFL will be on a bye week this week as preseason has wrapped up, and NFL teams are going through that painstaking task of cutting down from 90 men to 53-man rosters.
Yeah.
Plus filling out your 10 practice squad players or whatever they keep now. So there's going to be a lot of movers and shakers, and it's going to come fast and it's going to come quick in the National Football League, as we're going to see a lot of people bouncing around over the next several days. Of course, it's a weird thing for these roster cuts for these rosters, because there might be plenty of guys on these teams that these coaches had no intention of keeping, not because of how well they performed in the preseason, but due to just the rash of injuries that happened during the preseason.
Oh, no doubt.
Some teams got devastated in the offensive line. A team like the Broncos was devastated in the wide receiver room once again. So those guys might be carrying some extra or the Broncos will carry extra wide receivers that they probably plan to get rid of. Some other teams that had the offensive line injuries will carry offensive linemen that they didn't plan on. So it really makes them have to do some roster gymnastics through the first few weeks of the season. Which guys are going to go on PUP, which guys are going to go on short-term IR, and then what do you do with those rosters once you get the players that you need to have back?
Yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, you've got all these people out here, right, who are trying to get on these teams, and with the injuries and the rash of injuries that they have, unexpected injuries, and then sometimes, like in the Cowboys situation the other day, you're trolling right along, you're playing some games, and all of a sudden upper management, without telling everybody else, say, hey, we're about to trade for another quarterback.
Yeah. By
the way, you're still going to play the whole game, but we're trading for another quarterback, by the way, so you're not going to be here.
Yeah, so
don't worry about nothing.
So Chad's talking about the Trey Lance trade, in case you guys didn't know. After the Cowboys traded for Trey Lance, Jerry Jones talked to Will Grier and said, hey, here's the deal. We are going to cut you. Now that we've traded for Trey Lance, we're going to cut you. You're the odd man out. However, we are going to let you play the final preseason game so that you can still audition for another team. And Will Grier showed up, and he showed out. I think he was like 75% completion. Percentage on his pass. It was the Raiders the other night. Showed out. I fully expect him to latch on with another team. Maybe the Bears, because the Bears have kind of cut the veteran quarterbacks behind Justin Fields, and I think they're looking at going towards an unproven rookie as their backup. Maybe that could be a possible landing spot for Will Grier.
Quite possibly, but it was, I don't know, dude. I was not real thrilled with the thing because it just, if you want to know why the Cowboys have sucked ass so much over the last 30 years, take a look at your freaking front office. It's not hard to determine why.
So you're not happy with this Trey Lance?
Hell no. I think it's dumb as shit. I'm sorry. But you're taking a guy who couldn't make the third spot on his own roster after being drafted number 3 overall, who couldn't get out, who couldn't make the team. And this is who you're going to give a 4th-round pick. Okay, you can give around a 4th-round pick, whatever. But you've got a quarterback who knows the system, who is in the system, and now you have to train somebody who didn't know his other team's system, who couldn't get that down. Now he's going to try to come in here and learn your system. And you're telling me this guy is already better than the guy you have who, again, showed you what he's capable of. His vision, by the way, Will Greer's vision the other night, excellent. Always looking downfield. Every year you're talking, you get better, you get better, you get better. You keep learning the game. Will Greer has done nothing but do that. And to me, it's dumb.
Well,
it's stupid.
I think this would be one thing if we were talking about a starting quarterback.
Yes.
But we're talking about 2 third-string quarterbacks here.
Exactly.
So I don't have as much of an issue with it as Chad does, just because wherever Will Greer goes, he's not going there to start. And Trey Lance coming in is not to start. But with Trey Lance, you get some extra youth on the team. And then also, if Trey Lance lives up to his potential at some point, it doesn't have to be right now. Cowboys have Dak Prescott.
Yep.
But if Trey Lance lives up to what his potential can be, then this is probably going to, wouldn't be something that ultimately you're upset with.
Yeah, I am. Screw it. Dude, it just angers me. It's just because it just seems like so very cowboyish of things that we've seen them try to get away from doing, but all of a sudden it's like, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it anyway. And then you don't tell your starting QB. And you talk about shaking up the locker room. And I have never have a problem when you're improving your football team. Does bringing in Trey Lance truly improve your football team? I don't think it does. Now, could it in the long run, if he gets some time to learn the system in? Sure, but as we're at the start of the system, at the start of the season, are you really going to ride that out and hope that all of a sudden after 3 years he just becomes good? And he's not going to get any snaps. Will Greer's had all your snaps here lately. I mean, the guy's getting time under center and with these other guys. This dude was going against a first-string offense and moving a defense and moving the football. Trey Lance couldn't even move it against a third-string offense, a defense. No, I'm not happy with it.
Well, again, we are talking about a guy in Will Greer who's largely been a career backup. He did start for Carolina back in 2019. He played in 2 games. That is the extent of the starting experience Will Greer has in the NFL. I think Trey Lance has comparable amount of starts. He might have a few more. I think Trey Lance had a handful of starts in his rookie year when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. Last year, Trey Lance started the first game of the year, but that's when he suffered his season-ending injury. I think the issue with Trey Lance, more than anything, is just the lack of playing time he's had really since he got into college. Because in 2019, he played a great season for North Dakota State. He had this great year in 2019.
Yeah.
2020, COVID happens. Since they were a Division II program, their season's canceled. I think they played 1 game against an FBS opponent just because it was a big payday for the school.
Sure.
But they really just played that 1 game, and then they played nothing else. He gets drafted in 2021. He's the backup as a rookie, which everyone thought was the smart move, and it was. And then Jimmy G gets hurt like he always does. Trey Lance comes in, plays a few games, and he was okay. I mean, it wasn't anything special, but it wasn't also terrible. And then last year he gets hurt in the opener. So I think if Trey Lance gets experience under his belt and gets in-game reps at some point. Hopefully not for the Cowboys, just because Dak Prescott's still there. Yeah. And it's not like Trey Lance is coming in to supplant Dak Prescott.
No,
that's not
happening here.
A lot of people, a lot of the talking heads on the big networks are trying to make it seem like Jerry Jones wants to replace Dak with Trey Lance.
No, he doesn't.
And that's not the case.
He's trying to make sure that if we get down in quarterback depth and something does happen, he wants reliable options there that can still keep him a contender.
Right.
That's what they're hoping for.
Like Cooper Rush started more games last season than Will Grier and Trey Lance combined.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure in their collective careers.
Yep.
So you know that Cooper Rush is the number 2. But it's not like Cooper Rush has the strongest arm in the world. And he's shown plenty of things to not like in his play. So I think this is more to – and also this works for the scout team offense too. If you get a Cowboys are playing against a mobile quarterback, you run Trey Lance out there because he's got some wheels on him.
Oh, sure.
He can move. So if the Cowboys are in a situation where they're playing the Ravens or the Cardinals or any one of these teams where the mobility of the quarterback is a definite focal point of that team's offense, this will definitely help the Cowboys' number 1 defense get out there and get ready.
Well, and I guess that's kind of my thing with this is that you're always wanting to improve your football team. Never any questions like that. But at the start of a season, when you've got somebody like this and you know that there's a possibility of your quarterback going down, it's been happening more and more to Dak, missing games at least every season now. But you want guys in there who can still, because last year, you had y'all's 2 of your quarterbacks, and here we go. So you want someone, I feel more comfortable is the thing with, if we have to go to Will Grier, I feel comfortable. He at least knows the system well enough and is confident enough. You saw that confidence this preseason.
Absolutely.
That this is going to get the job done. And at least we can, as a team, say we can trust the guy to go in there because we know that he can do it. That's really the thing, because if you're relying on him to get you to a Super Bowl, your Super Bowl dreams already dashed anyway.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So you're just hoping you buy time and not lose a lot of games till your main guy gets healthy again to be back in the starting lineup. That's really what the hope is for these backups. And so when they make these moves, you're like, okay, all right, where are we really going to need them at? Is this where we really needed? First of all, the headache, when you make a move like this, and the way you do it is going to do nothing but be a distraction again, because everybody's going to be talking about it, which is what they've done.
But one thing I am, you brought up the fact that they didn't consult Dak on this. They don't have to.
No, they don't have to. That's not the point.
But we see these quarterbacks around the league every year. Well, they didn't tell me they were going to do this.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
They don't have to do it. But my thing with the Cowboys is they're always about, well, what we do is what we want to be sure that unity in the locker room is always there. That's what we're going for.
Well, I think this is a perfect time for the unity in the locker room to get better, because now this is 100% a prime opportunity for Dak Prescott to, number 1, welcome Trey Lance into the fold, and for him to show to the rest of that team that his confidence is not shaken by this.
Well, he's going to have to. There's no question. He can't come in there showing a chink in his armor at all because of what's going on with his career. And it certainly he can't come in there the least bit shaky, knowing how much everybody loved Will Grier, in not only in the quarterback room, but in that team itself. That's a big ask. I mean, that whole team loved that dude. Now, that leadership is unquestioned. I don't think you can't question his leadership since day one coming into that organization. It's been something that's great to see because you need it. And I was more inspired by Dak calling those plays and being out there the whole time and not just sitting on the sidelines, just kind of half watching and joking around. Dak's invested in every game. I love that about
Dak was the offensive play caller.
He was, which was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. It was great because he
killed it, though.
He's invested in everything. He did. He crushed it. And it was so much fun to see. Again, my biggest thing with it, if you'd have made this thing earlier in the offseason, give Trey Lance time to learn the offense of being there, they'd have zero issue with it. I don't care. Like I say, he's a third-string quarterback at this point. Yeah. I don't care. I care because of all the things that we see happen with the injuries and injuries related, how quick they happen and out of nowhere,
right,
can affect your football team. And you better be sure that your team, like, so you go in there against a mediocre team that you should beat with your main stars, easy. But when you lose a skill position player like Dak, and now you're like, okay, I need to be sure my next guy up. And then we thought, we got Cooper Rush. That's great. And all of a sudden, bam, he gets injured 2 plays later. It's like, oh, okay, now what are we doing? That's when the scary part comes. And you don't want to play that game, but as a football team, you have to think about that. Nonstop, you have to think about that.
But we've also seen, though, a lot of these second and third string quarterbacks that don't have a lot of game experience. Like, yeah, people talk about Trey Lance all the time, but no one's really seen Trey Lance in the NFL.
No, they haven't.
So when you get these guys that really are an unknown commodity, how many times have we seen these guys actually roll out there and have some success, especially when they're a really gifted athlete, not just a pocket passer?
Yeah.
Because we've seen the pocket passers get timid when they don't have the throwing window and then the pocket starts collapsing around them and they panic. But we've seen several quarterbacks that are more mobile quarterbacks able to scrape out wins against tougher opponents because those opponents now don't know what to expect. Because the Cowboys, since Dak broke his leg back in 2020, Cowboys have had Dak running less and less and less.
Yep.
And on one hand, I get it. I mean, you're spending, $45 million a
Yeah, you really
year.
don't want to put a target on your quarterback out there in no man's land.
But also, it's one of Dak's best abilities. He's not fast, but he's not scared to run.
He's a savvy
power.
runner, too.
Yeah,
and he's a tough runner. I mean, he's a big dude.
Huge.
Dak's a big guy. I mean, so he's not one of these quarterbacks you touch him, they're just going to fall down. He's not afraid to put his head in there and go. But again, it's your $45 million quarterback. You don't want to see take licks they don't need to take. But but it's also one of the reasons you love the guy, right? It's why I like Tony Romo so much, not because he was the fastest or the quickest or the greatest, because he was willing to do whatever it took to at least give your team a chance. And Dak does the same thing. And they're trying to peel him back. But I think, like last year, we talked about his interceptions. And, yeah, it was the most interceptions he's thrown. But he's being more aggressive, which is what we wanted. I wanted to be more aggressive. I don't mind the interceptions as much when you're trying to win football games and be more aggressive. The Cowboys still won 12 games last year.
Yeah, for the second year in a row.
It's hard for me to sit here and bitch about it. On one hand, the other one try to pray. I mean, you have to pick a lane. Do you want to win football games? Yes. Brett Favre, we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
Same thing. Most notorious gunslinger probably in NFL history at this point. I mean, he didn't care where he tried to throw the ball to. He was all about trying to make a play to help your team win. I love the mentality. That just means, though, when the bad stuff happens, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Can you live with it? That's really the question.
Well, if you got a gunslinger mentality at quarterback, then you have to be willing to accept it.
You have to. Now, I don't think Dak's a gunslinger by any means. I'm not saying that.
He's becoming one.
But he is more willing to take a chance if he feels, because he's confident.
Look, I can live with the mistakes. I can't live with the not trying.
Exactly. I'm all about you at least making the effort to do it.
Now, would I prefer, a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning that just knows where everyone's going to be before anything ever even happens?
That's right.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But that's a rare thing.
It is.
It's just a rare thing. You better hope that your team is good all the way across. I love the Cowboys team this year. I hated a couple of the injuries and some of the spots I think were a little softer
this year. I don't love them,
but I think they're a more solid unit this year than they were last year. I really like some of their young guys, man. I love how these young guys are flying everywhere and have ball bought into the scheme. Is what I really like.
I'm waiting to see
the team is far more confident.
I'm waiting to see the fallout of the Sam Williams arrest.
That's going to be the thing. I was just thinking about that.
That's going to be important.
It is. They moved, what's the kid's name? They moved from safety down linebacker.
Marquise Bell.
That's right, Marquise Bell. And he didn't do a bad job.
No, he's too small to be.
That's going to be the thing. That's not going to be his role.
He would be a star linebacker. It's not like he's going to be lining up as your, edge rushing outside linebacker or anything like that. But yeah, a lot of fun preseason football happened. I don't know if there is a wide receiver in the NFL, I'm more excited to watch on a week in, week out basis than George Pickens of the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate the Steelers, but this Kenny Pickett to George Pickens connection, it feels like it should sustain the Steelers for at least the next, let's call it 6 years.
Sure.
I know everyone loves to say, it'll be 10 to 15 years.
No.
The way the NFL goes, George Pickens won't be a Steeler after the next 6 seasons.
He won't. He'll be gone.
But in the meantime, it'll be a lot of fun to watch. I mean, this is a team that somehow, despite the way that season started for them last year, still managed to not finish with the losing record. And so I fully expect them to build on that. Wouldn't shock me at all if the Steelers slip into the playoffs as the final wild card team.
Oh, well, I mean, I could see it. I could certainly see it.
Especially after they added Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia.
Yeah.
Big body tight end. He's massive. They already have Pat Freiermuth, so they could do a lot of 2 tight end sets. They can play some bully ball with Najee Harris in the running game. Like I feel like the Steelers' offense should look eerily reminiscent of those Patriots teams that had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez.
No, I can see that. I'm curious. I'm trying to look at these. As we're getting ready, cut down day. When is cut down day?
I think it's this weekend.
Is it this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be a lot of individuals looking for new places.
Tons, yeah.
I mean, there's going to be folks.
I think each team's cutting roughly 40 guys, and then they have to find another 10 guys to fill out their practice.
That's right. So you've got, 1,200 guys looking for places to go. And then you only got 400 slots open.
Yeah, I mean, and we're seeing, and it's always interesting every year to see the guys that get cut that you weren't quite expecting.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of dudes are journeymen just because that's the way the game goes and you expect those. But like the Buffalo Bills were trying to give Shane Ray, the former first-round draft pick of the Broncos, another chance at the NFL. He got cut. Freddie Swain gets cut by the Dolphins. Of course, the Patriots are out here. They cut Trey Nixon, the wide receiver, Trace McSorley, quarterback. Zonovan Bam Bam Knight got cut by the Jets because their running back room is absolutely loaded, along with fellow running back Demarie Crockett. The Baltimore Ravens haven't released a whole lot, although they did cut DeAndre Houston Carson, which is kind of a big one. Terrell Basham got cut by the Bengals. The Browns have cut wide receiver Anthony Schwartz, several offensive and defensive linemen, as well as kicker Cade York. Trying to see if I can find a name that really sticks out to me. Pittsburgh Steelers cut XFL wide receiver Hakeem Butler, who's former NFL wideout, but he had a pretty big run in the XFL last year.
Yeah.
They also cut linebacker Tanner Muse. Kenyon Drake got cut by the Colts, as well as Malik Turner, Rashad Perryman. Yeah, I mean, it's I'm trying to go through this whole list, and there's so many names.
Dude, there's a lot.
Yeah, already, we're not that far removed from the end of the preseason. The Giants, they cut James Robinson, who has just, I think he's been on 3 teams in the last 6 months. Since the end of the regular season.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, true enough.
He got traded from the Jaguars to the Jets. The Jets cut him in the preseason. He went over to the Giants. The Giants just cut him. They also cut wide receiver Colin Johnson. Cowboys haven't officially made a cut yet.
This is the kid I was impressed with the other night.
Oh, the
Hunter
lucky
Lipke.
kid?
Yeah. That dude, talking about being everywhere, bowling over people, making blocks, catching the football. He made a ridiculous, almost just a shoestring catch the other night on a pass that wasn't good as Will was scrambling out.
Right.
And, it was beautiful. There's just no room for him, I'm afraid. But this is a kid. If you can find a way to keep, this is who you would want to keep. I just don't know how they do it.
Designate him as a fullback.
Yeah, it's all you can do, really.
They can put him at fullback. You can also play some tight end, and then if you need him to, you need a like third and short situation.
Yeah.
Throw him in as a power back because the Cowboys don't have a power back now.
No, they don't. And
because Tony Pollard's going to be your one.
Yep.
I would be shocked if Deuce Vaughn does not make the team.
He'll make the team.
I know he will.
He didn't even play the other night. Really, he's on this team.
Ronald Jones is not going to make the team.
No, he'll be off.
Plus, he's got the suspension to start the season. He's not going to make the team.
Yep.
I don't think Rico Dowell.
I don't think
he's going to make it. I don't think Malik Davis is going to make it.
No, and I like Rico. I just don't think he makes it.
I do too. So, but one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like, let's say Rico does make it. Let's say it's Tony Pollard, Deuce Vaughn, Rico Dowell.
Yeah.
They could keep a fourth running back or a one fullback with Lupke, and he can be that jack of all trades for you. He can play the fullback, tight end, and running back spot.
And he'll be in special teams.
Yeah, and definitely be a special teamer.
He's certainly not afraid to stick his nose in there, which is a plus for him as well.
Absolutely, because the Cowboys also don't have anyone with a lot of pass blocking ability in the running back.
No, they
space.
Don't. So it wouldn't surprise me to see this dude make this team. And I hope so. I really love his play style and how he played. He'll go somewhere and make a team.
You want to know how good the Philadelphia Eagles are? I'm looking over their cuts, and there's a lot of names that people should be familiar with. Wide receiver Tyree Cleveland, cut. Tight end Dan Arnold, cut. Offensive tackle Dennis Kelly, cut. Corners Zach McPherson and Greedy Williams, both cut by the Eagles. That's how deep they are at almost all their roster spots.
That's crazy.
The Chicago Bears cut P.J. Walker and Alex Leatherwood. Let's see. The Lions cut Denzel Mims. His career is washing out before our eyes before it ever really got started. They also cut Jermaine Ifedi, Bobby Hart, as well as Christian Covington. Let's see. The Vikings have cut Jordan Teamu and Abram Smith, both of who were XFL stars this past season.
Yeah.
Both of them played on that Washington team, the DC Defenders. That's it. They played for the XFL championship. N'Keal Harry, another one of those wide receivers who was a first-round pick whose career has never panned out. He got cut by the Vikings as well. Let's see here. Rodrigo Blankenship, the former Georgia Bulldogs kicker, got cut by the Buccaneers. Colt McCoy got cut by the Cardinals.
Did he? I thought they were going to I don't know. They did cut him. That's right. Because they caught him is on pup still.
Yes. So he's going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what the Cardinals are doing. But the Cardinals also just traded Isaiah Simmons to the Giants last week. So it looks like the Cardinals are in full rebuild mode. It looks like they regret giving Kyler Murray that money.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
And it looks like they will be picking in the top part of the draft next season. Maybe looking to land a Caleb Williams or a Quinn Ewers, someone like that, and maybe try to move on from Kyler Murray.
Probably not a bad idea.
But that's if that contract will allow it. Because that's not like it's a tiny contract that Kyler Murray signed last season.
You are correct. That is a very true statement. But again, the next few days, it's about to get fun. I do love cut down week. I love it and I hate it. Because you find guys you like, and it's like, man, I really want to see this dude succeed and be a part of the team, and they cut him. You're like, why would you do that? And then you're hoping maybe they can sign him back. And then some other team that you really hate signs on, you're like, screw that guy.
Yeah, and what we've also seen are the top 3 quarterbacks that were drafted this year. There were 3 quarterbacks taken in the first 4 picks. All 3 of them have been named the starters for their teams. Bryce Young starting for the Panthers, C.J. Stroud starting for the Texans, and Anthony Richardson starting for the Colts. Out of those 3, who do you expect to have the best rookie season? Not talking career, just this year. Because they're all on pretty bad rosters.
All right, so Anthony Richardson.
Got Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud.
Well, here's the problem. I think Bryce Young's might have the better setup. I hadn't really heard a lot about C.J. Stroud this offseason.
It's been up and down.
So
his preseason has been.
I think Bryce Young
average.
Bryce Young is a really smart guy.
He is
super athletic.
His offensive line has not. He's taken a lot of hits this preseason.
Yes, but I don't know what's. And the problem with Indy is everybody's suspended all the way down to the water boys. I think it seems like,
or they're trash,
or they're just bad. I gotta say Bryce Young.
Okay, going Bryce Young. We'll see how that pans out for him. Of course, no NFL games this weekend, as NFL teams are cutting down the rosters. However, I guess it's a week from Thursday.
Yep.
Will be the first game of the season for the NFL.
Heck yeah.
Let me see if I can find what that kickoff game is going to be here.
Oh, dude.
That's
Lions Chiefs.
Lions Chiefs. First game of the season, Thursday night, September the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Lions going to Arrowhead.
Yep.
So the Chiefs get a win in week 1. Yes.
Yes.
I know we're not picking them yet, but I think we can all agree.
But do they?
Yes.
What if the Lions go out here and just do something spectacular?
You talked about the Colts and all the suspensions.
There are suspensions on the Lions.
A lot of this.
There's a lot of that
stuff going on in Detroit. There's a lot to be happy about, or at least optimistic about with the Lions.
I think so too.
But this isn't the game.
So if the Lions keep it close with the Chiefs, I think the Lions 6.5 right now. If the Lions keep it close to the Chiefs without some of the players that they're going to have, or not going to have, is that truly a win for them?
Well, no, because it counts as a loss.
No, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. There's reasons to be optimistic. The thing is, that 6.5 point spread is one of the larger spreads of week 1.
Oh, yeah. Because everybody's playing it safe right now, trying to learn where these teams are.
The other large spreads are Cardinals Commanders, where the Commanders are a 7-point favorite over the Cardinals, and the Ravens are a 10-point favorite over the Texans.
Yeah. Vikings are a 6-point favorite over the Bucks. But I'll tell you, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm interested to see what the Jets are going to do with the Bills. Monday Night Football, September 11th, by the way.
That's a massive game to start the season.
That's a big time one.
Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers in New York City.
That's what people want to see on a Monday night matchup.
New York City.
That's right.
East Rutherford, New Jersey.
It's going to be a big deal. Again, September 11th, there's going to be some.
Buffalo currently 2-point favorites in that one. As it stands right now. I mean, we're 2 weeks away from that game. But, Buffalo, the betting favorite as of right now. The night before, Sunday night football, though, Dallas will be rolling into East Rutherford to play the Giants. Cowboys, 3.5 point favorites. The away teams, the favorites to win the city of New York in week 1.
How wild is that?
It's absolutely insane. I like, though, that there's a lot of divisional football games being played in week 1.
As well, and there should be. There should be. You need those.
But, but also these divisional games are important. Should they be, maybe spread out a little bit better?
Well, I mean, are they?
I'm
not sure how they are. But
I understand it's hard to make schedules.
Yeah. But I think
for
opening
32
weekend,
teams.
let's get all these big divisional matchup in weeks 1.
I mean, you make it matter right off the bat.
Yeah, let's
doing
go.
that.
You book in the season with division matchups.
It's good for us.
It's great for us.
It's not necessarily
Maybe not
great
for
for
the
the
teams.
teams.
But hey, somebody's got to win them anyway.
Yeah, you got Panthers, Falcons.
Yep.
Bengals, Browns, Jags, Colts. Let's see what else we have. You have Packers, Bears, Raiders, Broncos, Rams, Seahawks, Cowboys, Giants, Bills, Jets. So there are 8 divisional games.
Yeah.
So half of the league, 16 teams,
That's right.
are playing a divisional opponent in week 1.
And I love that. I think that's how you should kick off your season. Let's go. You got to go big with your season starter. Establish somebody, a front runner in that division. It certainly makes, if you're talking about storylines, it certainly makes for good stories moving throughout the season.
So really, because we know that if you win your division, you get an automatic bid to the playoffs.
Yes.
So 16 teams playing a divisional matchup. That means 8 teams will be one step closer to the playoffs, and 8 teams will be one step closer to sitting at home after week 1.
You know what we never really keep track of? How a team's playoff chances change. And I mean that during the whole league, like you got 32 teams.
Right.
How many different times do the playoff spots change throughout the season?
Right.
Now, your first few weeks, there's no really big win-loss total to differentiate. Yeah. But by the time you're halfway through,
once you get about
when does it really start to fluctuate? Like, in, out, in. Oh, shoot, here we go. We went on a 2-game, 3-game run. Here we go. That's fascinating. We never keep up with that.
Well, and with football, it's harder to really determine because there's so few games. I mean, I know they added one. There's now 17 regular season games in the NFL, but no team's really out of it unless they're terrible. Like, I mean, if we're talking about a 3-win team and, we're sitting there at week 12, the writing's on the wall for them at that point, right? Because they're probably 3-8. I mean, unless they won out, I guess they're technically still in it, depending on how good the rest of their division is.
Oh, yeah.
But that's really more of a thing that you get in baseball or basketball due to that just sheer volume of games involved.
Oh, absolutely.
Typically with the NFL teams, you don't see teams being officially eliminated from playoff contention until, week 15, which is game 14 at the absolute earliest, and that's just for the really bad teams.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, we got to talk college football.
All right.
Because we're going to start off with a story.
All right, well, before we do, just want to shout out one of our sponsors there, Tobytown Media.
Yep.
If you are a real estate, I don't want to call them a mogul.
No.
But if you're
in real estate business,
if you're an agent and you're in the real estate game, the thing to keep in mind is that how you present these properties that you have to sell is very important. We can't recommend Tobytown Media highly enough. They do drone footages. They do virtual walkthroughs and tours. Their presentation for some of these homes that I've seen, whether it's on their Instagram at Tobytown Media or their Tobytown Media Facebook page, go through there, check it out. If you're an agent, like, you are really doing yourself a disservice not going through Billy Leishman and his team over there at Tobytown Media. And also, you can try Tobytown Media absolutely free. Just go over to TobytownMedia.com, try the pro package, enter the code BLITZ at checkout. They will let you get a trial run for free, and talk to them. They want to work with you to create the best absolute representation so that you can get that home in the hands of a new buyer. So shout out to Tobytown Media. Glad you guys are on board with us, and we're glad to have you.
Hey, there you go. As we move along to college football, I've been waiting to talk about it because this is great.
All right, well, what do you got here?
So, Big 12 commish, Brett, your mark.
Oh, God, I know exactly.
You know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Decided he was going to go talk to the Texas Tech Red Raiders the other day.
Yes, he did.
And he said, Coach McGuire, I'm not going to put any pressure on you, but I'm going to be in Austin for Thanksgiving, okay? And you better take care of business like you did right here in Lubbock last year, referencing the Texas Longhorns, where Texas Tech did upset them last year. And as we all know, Texas is moving, along with Oklahoma, to the SEC next year. And they've been salty about it ever since this was done. So Sark was asked, Texas's coach, Steve Sarkisian, he was asked about this. And his quote was, "I got a letter from the commissioner about sportsmanship the day before that speech. So I'm trying to figure out what are we promoting to our student athletes." Sark said to go say those types of things. I'm not guessing he's going to have his Thanksgiving dinner with us the night before that game. So, dude, I love it, though. I love the fact that they're so salty about it. And because Texas now has this whole thing, embrace the hate.
Yeah.
All right. That's their new deal.
As they should.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really excited about it just to see what's going to happen because there will be some hostility everywhere they go in the Big 12.
Yeah, and Sark even talked about those embrace the hate shirts.
Yeah.
He said the reality of it is that a lot has been made about Brett Yormark's comments. And a lot has been made about a particular T-shirt being made. He said, let's not make this more than what it is. This is about us. We're focused on what we get to do and why we get to do it. We're proud to be part of the University of Texas. We know who's behind us, and that's okay. Now let's go play.
There you go. Wow.
And apparently, and I know this is part of Sark's job, but apparently there's a lot of praise coming out of Austin for quarterback Quinn Ewers.
I've heard that.
Saying that he has really made a huge stride from last season to this one.
And which is great. We all knew he has a talent. It was really lack of playing time. And he got injured last year early, which really derailed a promising season. If he stays healthy, Texas should win the Big 12.
And while that's going on, they still don't really know who the backup quarterback is between Malik Murphy and Arch Manning.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I hope Arch.
I don't want him to be back up.
I hope Arch doesn't play more than 4 games this year.
I hope he doesn't either.
That way he can keep that freshman eligibility.
That's what
you know. But yeah, that's a huge story coming out of college football right now. The fact that a sitting commissioner of a conference
is rooting for one team over the other within your conference.
Correct.
Because Texas is still Big 12 until November 24th. Until the end of the day.
So, well, I mean, they are until July 1st of next year.
Yeah.
They're a Big 12
their
team.
last game, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
as a Big 12 team in the Big 12 itself is that day. So, yeah, it's it's created some buzz. No, which may have been his whole thing all along.
I mean,
we need to create excitement for the Big 12. Here's how we're going to have to do it.
Yeah. Because the Stormin' Mormons of Provo may not necessarily get you the attention that you want. Although they're a pretty solid squad. Kind of interested to see how they play this year in the Big 12. But this week was College Zero.
Yep.
Or was Week Zero in college
Week
football.
0.
And we did have games. It wasn't many, but we had a few. We only had 2 games that involved top 25 teams, and they were exactly what we all expected them to be.
Oh, yeah.
Notre Dame beat the absolute piss out of the Naval Academy over in Dublin, Ireland. Notre Dame finally gave up a field goal in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
Notre Dame won 42-3. Sam Hartman threw 4 touchdown passes as Notre Dame opens with that 42-3 win over the Naval Academy. Sam Hartman, though, 251 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think he's just the 19th quarterback in college football history to throw for 13,000 yards in a career. So great start for the Fighting Irish. Meanwhile, back stateside in America, San Jose State came into Los Angeles to play USC and the Trojans. And Caleb Williams said, okay, Sam Hartman, I see what you're doing over there.
That's right.
Let me throw for 4 touchdowns of my own, but I'm going to one-up you. I'm going to go for 278 yards.
Exactly.
Including one play where he got a low snap, and he dropped the ball. He kind of scrambles to his right, scoops the ball up, and in one motion slings it about 40 to 50 yards downfield, where it's caught for what ended up being a 76-yard touchdown. USC definitely starting off hot. I mean, I think they were 20-point favorites in that game.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's completely unexpected that they won 56-28. They doubled up on San Jose State. Not a lot of takeaways there. There was one game, though, where I did have a takeaway from, and that was Vanderbilt versus Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, that's right.
Hawaii made the travel from the island all the way out to Nashville, Tennessee to play Vanderbilt and the Commodores.
Yep.
And Vanderbilt, going into the fourth quarter, they were up 28-14. You know, Hawaii didn't really have a prayer. And then I think, pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly, Vanderbilt scored first in the fourth quarter. So they were up 35-14. My brain could not be working. But then Vanderbilt starts coming back. And Hawaii started coming back, and Vanderbilt looked like they just did not have an answer. Like they had no idea what Hawaii was doing offensively and had no way to stop it before Vanderbilt finally was able to make a big defensive play and put the game away. And that play was made by DeRicky Wright. Shout out to DeRicky Wright. 2 interceptions in that game. Big-time player. Also, Jaden McGowan, a 97-yard kickoff return touchdown for Vanderbilt. So the special teams, the defense, and definitely the offense for Vanderbilt really came together. I just don't know if the positives for Vanderbilt outweighed that terrible fourth quarter for them. And how does the coaching staff approach that in the team meeting following that game?
Well, it certainly gives them a lot of ammo for some coaching. You dominated this game. You owned this game through 3 quarters. You never led an opponent up because we could have taken a nail. That would have been devastating for us just because you guys decided, we got this. We'll coast through the fourth quarter, and you're not performing. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. Right. You just didn't perform. You thought, we've got these guys, and all of a sudden, here's 2 more quick touchdowns, and wait a minute, what's going on? It doesn't take much for you to throw a game, not intentionally, but because you lost your focus. And that will be the coach's message going forward.
Absolutely. So, I mean, especially for an SEC school that's out here playing a Mountain West team, I mean, it's a win.
Yes.
So you can breathe easy with that. But like you said, there's a lot of coachable moments here. Vanderbilt is one of those teams that's perennially the cellar dweller in the SEC. It'll be interesting to see what the future looks like for Vanderbilt, you know, not only for the rest of this season, but particularly going into next season as the SEC expands with 2 blue blood programs joining the fray.
Here's the sad reality of it all. Vanderbilt will never win an SEC championship.
No, they won't.
They're not a school that's built for that. They're not made for that.
Vanderbilt, and they have really high academic standards.
They do. But that is also their plus for them. Yep. They have a lot of good opportunities in other sports. They use the money they get from the football program.
They're a great baseball school.
They are.
Great basketball school.
Yes. So
they'll never be a good football school.
Exactly. So they benefit greatly from the SEC. They'll be as competitive as they can be. But if you're a Vandy fan, you can never hope to win the SEC championship. It's not going to happen. Yep. But what you do and are happy about is that you are in a conference as big as the SEC is, who makes as much money, so your school can benefit and your other athletic programs can benefit as well. And you still get students playing football.
I'm glad you bring that up. The fact that Vanderbilt benefits from being an SEC school.
Yes.
Because the television contract's huge, because that's where the most dominant football in the country at the college level is played.
Yes.
As far as an entire conference.
That's right. Exactly.
You have more premium teams in the SEC than any other conference.
It's ridiculous.
So for Vanderbilt, they get the benefits of those paid days from the media rights and all that. Have you in your lifetime, because I don't think that I've seen it, or at least I didn't realize it was happening.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a college football conference kick a team out? Say your services are no longer required?
No, usually it's one of those things.
A team
where,
agrees to go elsewhere.
Yeah, I think we're just going to leave and try our luck elsewhere.
Do you think?
I know it's happened.
At the rate of competitiveness that the SEC is expanding, like, do you think we see a situation where, because Florida State wants out of the ACC?
Yeah.
Do you see a situation where Vanderbilt is told by the SEC and Greg Sankey, "Hey, thanks for your years of service. It's no longer required." They kick Vanderbilt out, and then they go and make the deal with Florida State to bring them into the SEC?
I don't think so.
And then you get Florida State, Florida as an SEC
Now,
rivalry
I
game?
wouldn't doubt they wouldn't try to bring in a Florida
State.
Florida State, but I don't think they kick out of Vandy because, honestly, with their academic prowess and, again, with all the other sports that they have.
It raises the academic profile of the conference.
Yeah. And I think that's a great thing, and I think it would make the SEC look petty, and they're trying to be the diamond standard of the whole entire.
Let's not sit here and pretend that it's not a business from top to bottom.
Well, it is, but I think that's a great business move to say, okay, you may be one of the Lords, and we could try to vote you out and get somebody better in here, but we love having you here. Yeah, we think it benefits you and it benefits your students.
We love the great grades and the strict requirements that you have for people to join your school, but that's also going to make you just the overall tackling dummy for the conference.
Yep. As far as football goes.
However,
you got other sports that you're really pretty good at.
They're kick ass at baseball. Like, no one's going to argue that. But football is also the cash cow.
Yep.
And so thank you for being the automatic L for most teams in the conference. We appreciate it.
SMU.
In
1987.
Southern Methodist.
Yeah. Temple University was expelled from the Big East in 2002.
Okay. How do I not remember that?
I don't know, dude. So I'm saying, that's why I Googled it.
Well, SMU got the death penalty.
Yeah, they have.
They didn't get kicked out of the conference so much as their whole program got shut down.
Yeah, everything got shut down for them.
Yeah.
But it was Temple University who got kicked out of the Big East in 2002 because they sucked and fans didn't support them right. Like there was nothing there. So it's like, we're not going to give you money for nothing.
Okay, fair enough.
And at least Vandy's fans support them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's
well, kind of. They were about half capacity this past weekend.
But it's Vandy.
And it's a Vanderbilt home game.
That's right. So
like, your team should win. Like, this is, if there was any game on the schedule that they're going to win,
pack that stadium.
Vanderbilt fans should have been out there in droves.
Yeah, because you're not going to get a lot of those. All right, we've got to move along.
Well, we can get into some Week 1 predictions.
That's what I was going to say.
Because Week 1 starts this Thursday night.
With a great matchup.
You can get right on into it there.
Florida, unranked, as of right now, goes against number 14th ranked Utah. Utah is at home. They are favored by 6.5. Who you got?
Well, last season going into this game, I picked Utah going into the swamp, and Anthony Richardson spoiled that for me.
Yes, he did.
And everyone was like, "Oh, Florida, they're going to be awesome this year," and then that didn't happen. Anthony Richardson was pretty average to bad all season long, and then parlayed that into being the number 4 pick in the draft. But I'm going to stick to my guns, as I should, because it'd be foolish not to. Utah Utes at home in Salt Lake City. They get the victory over the Gators. Big win for, I guess, what is soon to be a Big 12 team. They're currently a Pac-12 team.
Yep.
In their last season in the Pac-12 would be a huge win over an SEC team before they move to the Big 12 try to reinforce that conference after the departure of Texas and Oklahoma.
And I kind of agree. Utah, Oots. Getting on them Florida Chompers. All right, we've got Mercer. 1-0, Mercer. Taking on Ole Miss.
All right, we got 1-1 Mercer.
Walt Hemingway Stadium. Ole Miss is currently ranked 22 for whatever reason. We've talked about this a couple of times.
It's because of Quinchon Jenkins.
It's exactly what it is.
He's that good. Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss should absolutely win this. These are those cupcake matches that we see every year in college football just to get teams prepped for the season. So, Ole Miss should absolutely get the win there against Mercer.
Agreed. Then we got 2:30. We got number 11, Texas, taking on Rice. No line for this game either.
Yeah, don't need it because Texas by a million.
We got number 2 Michigan taking on East Carolina. The line is Michigan by only 36.
The over-under is 52. I'm going to take the over.
I agree. I swear.
Taking the over.
I swear.
Michigan's going to screw around and give up a couple of touchdowns, but they're probably going to score 50 by themselves.
I agreed.
Because Blake Corum's back, and that dude is an absolute beast.
Yes, he is. Number 12, Tennessee taking on Virginia up in Nissan Stadium in Nashville. The line is Tennessee by 28.
Yeah, why aren't they playing at Rocky Top? That's weird. But yeah, Tennessee, they, like you said, 28-point favorite. I think they definitely win big over Virginia. Vols pick up their first dub of the season.
All right, then we got number 17, TCU taking on Colorado. Prime times, Colorado. This ain't your daddy's Colorado.
First D1 game for Coach Prime in his coaching career, going into Fort Worth to play the last season's runner-up.
That's right.
In TCU.
Line is TCU by 20.5.
And that's fair because I think there are maybe 11 guys on this current Colorado Buffaloes roster that were on the team last year.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be rough.
There's going to be a lot of chemistry building going on for Colorado. I think this is one of those years where if Colorado wins 5 games, they should absolutely be thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
This will not be one of them.
No,
taking the Horned Frogs.
That's right. Number 20, Oklahoma taking on Arkansas State. Lines OU by 35.
Oklahoma had a pretty rough year last year.
Yep.
Including the first time that they've been shut out since 1998.
Yep.
It was the largest loss in the history of the Red River rivalry against Texas. But they've had other games where they look great. They got a quarterback named General Booty. For the love of God. That's one of the greatest sports names I've ever heard.
General Booty.
But for all intents and purposes, the Sooners should win this game.
Number 25, Iowa, going against Utah State. Lines Iowa by 25.
How is Iowa going to win by 25 when they can't score offensively?
This is a good question.
I mean, that was the Achilles heel for them last year. They could not score points. Now, Utah State's not good, so there's that. That benefits them. I will take Iowa to win, but I will also take the under.
Oh, there you go. Number 15, Oregon taking on Portland State. This does not have a line, of course.
As it shouldn't. Bo Nix and company should absolutely just run wild all over Portland State.
Number 3, Ohio State rolls into Indiana. Big Ten matchup, but it's Ohio State by 30. Over under is 59.
How did Ohio State draw a road game in week 1?
I don't know.
Especially in a conference game. Like, that's kind of wild to me. Just the whole thing feels weird. But yeah, Ohio State by 1 million.
Number 10, Washington goes against Boise State. Lines Washington by 14.5.
I think they win by more than 14.5. I will definitely take the points there. So yeah, Huskies get the dub.
The Notre Dame's number 13 in the country right now, taking on Tennessee State, 1-0.
I believe Tennessee State's coached by Eddie George now.
Is he?
Or
that's
something.
interesting. I have to look.
Man, I might be lying. I'm pretty sure they got a former NFL guy as quarterback or as their head coach. But yeah, Notre Dame advances to 2-0. Tennessee State shouldn't be a problem for them.
Number 19, Wisconsin taking on Buffalo.
Yep, we'll get the Badgers get tuned up there with the big early season win. I mean, not a whole lot to say about that one.
Yeah. Number 1, Georgia taking on UT Martin.
I'm going to say Georgia wins by 40.
All right. Number 6, USC, and they are 1-0 right now, taking on Nevada. Lines USC by 38.
I'm going to say USC wins and Caleb Williams throws for 5 touchdowns.
Ooh, there you go. In the first half?
I mean, maybe. It's possible.
Number 16, Kansas State takes on Southeast Missouri State.
Yeah, Wildcats should win. I expect a big year for the Wildcats. I'm a little more bullish on them than most people are. Most people are bullish on Texas Tech to be the second best team in the Big 12 this year. But I think it'll be the Wildcats out there in Manhattan, Kansas, they should absolutely wipe the floor with Southeast Missouri State.
Number 23, Texas A&M takes on New Mexico.
A&M should win. They have one of the absolutely most talented rosters in the entire country.
Yep.
And have for some time. But for whatever reason, the last few years, they have not been able to put it together. Not only really just during Jimbo Fisher's run there, but even going back to the last few years of Kevin Sumlin's time.
That's right.
So it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out, but the Aggies should get the win over the Lobos.
Number 4, Alabama takes on Middle Tennessee. Lines Alabama by 39.
Yeah, that's Bama all day.
Number 7, Penn State takes on West Virginia. The line is Penn State by 20.5.
Once again, people are projecting Penn State to do massive things this season. And West Virginia is in no position to beat them. So don't think I'm going that direction. But I think ultimately Penn State will do what it always does, and they'll fall short. And once again, it'll be an Ohio State, Michigan kind of year in the Big Ten, even despite Jim Harbaugh's suspension.
Now, on one of our first games where, here we go, this can determine whether or not the shakeup starts to happen early in the top 25 in week 1. That'll be number 21, North Carolina, taking on unranked South Carolina. The line is UNC by 2.5 on the road.
Yeah, I called for North Carolina to win the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I think that they will, but I would like them to.
Yeah,
sure. It'd be interesting to see. However, I think South Carolina is going to pull out some weird magic that they normally don't get to do. Spencer Rattler is going to have a monster game, and the Gamecocks are going to take this game against North Carolina. They are at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte.
There we go. All right, then South Alabama unranked takes on number 24, Tulane.
Yeah, Tulane's going to definitely get the win there. It's kind of interesting. Tulane versus Ole Miss is going to be a big game this year.
Yeah, it is.
It's going to be a massive game, especially if both teams are ranked going into that one.
Yep.
But yeah, Tulane gets the win over South Alabama there.
We got 2 games Sunday. We got number 18, Oregon State, taking on San Jose State. Lines Oregon State by 16.5.
It's weird that Oregon State's starting on the road. This is not even a conference game.
No.
They're going out of conference to a group of 5 school to play their week 1 game. Oregon State should win. Interested to see what DJ Uiagalelei does out there as a Beaver.
And Sunday evening, 6:30 prime time.
Biggest game of the week.
Number
Easy.
5, LSU takes on number 8, Florida State. The line is LSU by 2.5 on the road in Orlando, Florida at Camping World Stadium.
Yeah, so last year they played this game in New Orleans at the Caesar Superdome or Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I forget what they're calling it now. I think it's Caesar Superdome. But LSU came up short in that game against Florida State. I mean, it was a really exciting game. It was back and forth for most of it. Florida State found a way to win it. I expect the opposite this year. I think the Tigers go down into Orlando, into Florida State's backyard, and they get the victory over the Seminoles.
And we have one game Monday night, and that will be number 9, Clemson, taking on Duke, going on the road to Wallace Wade Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. The line is Clemson by 13.
This is a conference game, but the fact that number 9 Clemson is on the road at Duke in week 1 is weird to me. It feels like they should definitely be playing either, well, probably not Duke at Clemson because Clemson probably hosted that game last year.
Yeah.
But, if Clemson was hosting – a Wofford or somebody like that.
Sure.
You get it. But yeah, Clemson should go in there and absolutely wax Duke and run them right out of that stadium.
I completely agree. All right, folks, there we go. That is our week 1 predictions for college football coming up. And next week, it gets even better because we got to do both college and we do pros.
Absolutely.
Which is where the bulk of what our conversations will be because you'll hear a lot of the other talking heads do stuff. We'll hit our highlights as we do. And then we're going to talk predictions because I love the prediction part of this stuff.
Absolutely. But, what we get to do this week for the first time this season? It's time to hand out some awards.
We got to hand out some awards. And as we always want to do, our first award of the day goes to
had the runs this weekend, the old bubble guts.
your Drizzler Awards, baby.
They came out there and cracked the bed, and that honor goes to none other than the Naval Academy. I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner. However, you traveled all the way to Dublin, Ireland, and just got your ass beat, and badly. It wasn't close.
It wasn't good.
It was never competitive.
No.
Maybe the Academy turns around. They got a new head coach this year, but I don't love the direction that they're trending. Absolute terrible loss. They looked inept. So yeah, Navy wins the Drizzler for week 0.
My Drizzler of the week goes to another Cowboys linebacker, Sam Williams. Because how stupid do you have to be, knowing that all this stuff happens, season's coming up, and your idiotic self is out here doing dumb stuff that you know you shouldn't be doing. It could cost you career and everything else.
And some of the issues from that also came up as it's not so bad that you had this thing, but because you got the other thing, now this thing is a bad thing.
That's right.
So here's a Drizzler Award for the state of Texas for the way they write their laws.
I swear. Well, you can have this one or you can have that one, but you can't have them both.
Can't do it.
You can't have them both. All right. Well, we've got the Drizzlers. You got to have the good start of that too.
So this goes to who we thought made the biggest impact this weekend.
That's right.
And look, this could go to a preseason NFL squad or player or coaching staff or college football team, player, staff, whatever, however you want to look at it. It's kind of the pretty beautiful thing about the way we do our awards. We give it as we see fit. But I'm going to the big 2 college quarterbacks this weekend. They both had lofty expectations thrust upon them going into their season openers. So Caleb Williams and Sam Hartman, you are my week 0 big kahunas.
I'm staying in Homerland.
Okay.
And going with the Dallas Cowboys roster hopeful Hunter Lipke. I think when on a roster where it's full
over Will Grier.
Because of this. Will Grier is being shipped out of Dallas, and I hate that. I thought he played a hell of a game. But you got a guy that actually is fighting for a roster spot here that in a running back room filled with speedy guys, there's no power guy. This guy simply had to show up, show out. He can block, he can catch, he can run. He's not afraid to hit somebody. He picks up the blitzes. He knows where to be. He's got great hands. And I think this guy has just about, if what we were talking about is true, this guy might have sealed his spot on this roster. It was a heck of a performance, and we always say it's that lasting impression you leave on somebody that can take you from where you might were fringing on the edge, because by all indications, he had a great camp anyway. And then you play that the way you played the other night, along with Will Grier, who I thought did have an exceptional game. I think he'll land just fine somewhere. But Hunter Lipke, you're my big kahuna this week, buddy. I think you earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge week for Hunter Lipke, the North Dakota State product. So I'm sure he and Trey Lance have a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah. He says he's going to shoot him a text.
The coaches told him last week they wanted to give him some extra reps, and he definitely went out there and made the most of it.
He had over 100 total yards offense.
He's 6'1", he's 238.
He's a big dude.
Massive.
They need a short yards guy. You mentioned this earlier.
Yeah, he could be the short yards guy. Best case scenario, he turns into Mike Allstott. I'm not saying that he will.
No.
I'm not saying that.
But he's a big, tough, powerful dude.
However, if he wants to throw on, the big neck roll and the dark visor and put on another, 20 pounds of lean muscle mass, I'm not mad at it.
Who wants to stand there and get hit by that?
Nobody.
Nobody does. Like, dude, no, that's okay. And I think the Cowboy staff is fully aware of it now. That doesn't mean he's going to make the roster, but I think he upped his stock tremendously.
Absolutely.
With that kind of, there were a few plays in there where, the big block catch it. The pass rush that was coming, he just stands nose to nose. You ain't getting past him. He's stonewalling people. The hands go. We talked about the shoestring catch. I loved that. I thought it was great. But look forward to it. Here we go. It's football season, folks. It's here. By the time you see us next week, we got a lot of football to talk about.
We'll be in full
top
swing.
25 games. We got roster cuts to talk about next week. There's a lot of information coming. And not only roster cuts, but other signings. Because not only do you cut rosters, you have to fill out your practice squad. A lot of stuff happening in the
and
world
maybe
of football.
You don't have a guy on your roster at a certain spot, or at least the depth on your roster that you want. But then you might see a guy come available, and so you're making a corresponding move.
That's right. That you very much needed to make. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. Hopefully we do. Guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in, and we will see y'all next Monday.